So, hi everyone, and yes, I'm very nervous, and it's a very hard day, and I'll do my best not to cry too much because I'm going to. So I'm here to share you with my story that happened on the 30th of April 2003. It was a period of the second Intifada. I was at the Mike's Place pub. It was just another ordinary night, another jam session, open mic night. I arrived with a friend from home and say hi to everyone, to the regulars, Alan, Dave, straight to my regular place next to Avi, the guard. I was a regular, so I usually sat next to him. Customer comes and goes, Israeli, French, Brits, Americans, like everyone is gathered around for a moment of live music and fun. Suddenly, out of the crowd, I see Ran. Even his name is. He was my childhood friend, who I haven't seen for 4 years till the day. He went up on stage. He was a musician, a great musician. So he went up on stage to play, came outside to do a little bit of catch up. And he said that he got some things to do and he needs to go. And I told him, I haven't seen you for 4 years and now you're going to leave. Like, wait a second, I'm going to get my phone, like that we can be in touch. And I turn around, like to take a step next to Avi, the guard. Another friend sat on the chair that I used to sit. I saw Avi arguing with someone and tells him firmly, like, man, not tonight. I bend over to grab my bag, and on the second that I touched my bag, while in the background they singing happy birthday to one of the bartenders, the second that I touched my bag, there was an explosion. The explosion was so loud that I guess that the brain can't digest how powerful it was. So it sounded more like a champagne that popped um, or balloon that popped. And it was a birthday. So I said, maybe it's something for the birthday. And I looked up and smiled. And what I saw was a big ball of fire coming toward me. The next thing that I remember, I was sitting and can't hear anything. It's like a deafening silence. It's when they saying like shtika ro'emet. I don't know how to say it in English. That's what happened after something like that. I was without my shoes on me. I started running all over my body to see that I got everything on me. I was counting my fingers, start running all over again to see that I'm not bleeding massively from anywhere, and trying to understand what just happened. What was it? Was it a bombing? No, it's got to be something else. Maybe a firework, maybe something from the kitchen. But I just knew. I knew it was a terror attack, and I start thinking, what is going to happen from now? Am I going to be crazy? I'm going to paint my room in black. Who will take care of my dog? What will happen with my job? And what do I do now? What will happen when I open my eyes? I don't want to see anything that's going on around me. But I had to move from where I was, and I opened my eyes. I couldn't hear anything, and in front of me, everything looked like a scene from a horror movie. A man without a hand running in front of me. And Ran, my friend, was in front of me. He was lying down. And I could see in his eyes that that's going to be the last time that I'm going to see him. And I turned around because I didn't want to see the sights that around me, and I start looking around for friends because I came with a frat, and all of my friends around me. Alan found me with my friend Efrat. She was a little bit hurt. I could see she's bleeding. He said, "Let me take you to the hospital." He was like, "Let's go to the car and I'll take you to the hospital." And when we got to his car, he said, "Oh, my keys are inside," because he was inside when the bomber exploded. And he was like all calmed down and going to get his keys. And I saw someone with a cell phone. It was like right the start of cell phone. I saw someone with a cell phone. I told him, "Please call to my parents and tell them that I'm fine." I wanted them to know from me what happened, not from anyone else. Someone called to my parents. My mother didn't understand what happened. He told her, "She's fine." She said, "Of course she's fine. Why wouldn't she?" And he said, "There was a bombing." And she said, "What? Where?" Because nothing was on TV yet. My mother asked to talk to me, but on that second, I couldn't hear anything. I was like deaf. It's only like a buzzing in my ears. And I didn't want her to worry about me. So I just told him, just tell her that I'm fine. The police arrived to the scene and they started to evacuating everyone to the other side of the shore. They was afraid that there's another bomber that is there. And I got to the other side. It was the first time that I was alone, like without my friends. Alan went. I can't hear anything. People are screaming, and it's only lights, blinding lights. And I just stood, and that was the first time that I just started to cry. And again, out from the chaos, Alan came, grabs me and tells me, I'm going to put you on an ambulance. We passed like one after the other looking for Efrat. And I got to the ambulance with Efrat and with another guy, like a big guy, but he couldn't stop yelling that he's in pain. He was like yelling. Efrat all the way, counting her fingers, and this guy is keep on yelling. The journey to the hospital was like a never-ending ride. It seemed like we've been all over Tel Aviv to get to Ichilov. When we got to Ichilov, the ambulance parked. They took Efrat out and the guy out on a stretcher. I got off the ambulance and said, "Okay, I'm going home." And I just looked for the exit of the hospital. And then someone came and yelled at me, "Get on a stretcher." So I got on a stretcher and they got me into the hospital. And then it was like an organized chaos. Lights, machines, but organized. And suddenly a doctor came with scissors and wanted to cut my clothes off me. And I was like, "Wait a second, I'll do it myself." And like no time. And he cut my clothes off me. And all I thought is, I hope that I look fine. Like my brain was in another place. Suddenly my body started to shiver. There was a chemical in the bombing, so my body started to shiver. And then quiet, it's like everything calmed down. I got morphine. And the morphine just quieted everything down. They got me to a room. I told the nurses, "Please call my parents, tell them that I'm here." And the first one to came was my father and my brother. My brother was laughing like with terrible jokes, but funny jokes. But that's the way for him to cope. And after a while, my sister and my mother came. My sister was 16. I don't know how they let her see me the way that I look to put her in the ER to see me. She was crying her eyes out. In the next 2 weeks, I was in treatment of my burns. I got burned all over my face, my chest, my hand, legs. I got treated for the burns. They did excellent job, as you can see. But no one treated my soul, not back then. No one gave attention to that. I remember just one day that a social worker came into the room and she looked not even at me. She couldn't look at me. And she looked around me because she couldn't look at my face. It was bad. And she said, "Oh, you're fine, you're fine. You'll be fine." That's all I heard, that I'll be fine. So after 2 weeks, it started to get really crowded in the where I was, and I just took my things and left. I didn't release from the hospital. I left the hospital and went to the Mike's place to have a beer. As Sari said, they tried to kill me, but they didn't, and they won't. So I went back to the Mike's place to have a drink. After several more tests, doctors, they released me back to life, back to work, to the routine without even a single sick day. As everyone, they said, "You're fine, you can go back to work, like everything is okay," like nothing happened. So I got back home, everyone around me tell me I'm fine, I'm trying to be fine. I'm trying to go back to the routine. I got my body is all I got everything. I got hands, legs, everything is functioning. So I supposed to function. And that's what I'm trying to do. Day after day, double shift, no relief, no rest, without people understanding me and without me understanding myself. The whole day just pretending, smiling, everything fine, 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 finishing work, going home and exploding. At first it was at my mom, my amazing mom. She got it, she was amazing, and I bought her flowers, and then we were okay, and I yelled at her again, and I bought her chocolate, and it started to be expensive. So I left my parents when I was 21, and I moved to live alone. I continued to work as many hours as possible because I didn't want to have a moment that I need to be with my thoughts. If I want to take care of someone else, I'll think about what happened, and I don't want to think about what happened. And I just wanted, back then, Sari was in one of those explosions in buses. When I was on a bus after the bombing, I said, if it's going to happen, I hope I'll die, because I can't cope with that again. So, after almost 10 years of walking and walking, my best friend, my dog, died. And when he died, I felt that a space opened for me to be upset and to be mad. And if someone is saying good morning, I can tell him, no, it's a shitty morning, because that's what I felt. And I realized that I'm not fine, and then I need help. And I started the journey, my new journey with myself, to try to understand and live with what I've been through, to give space to those feelings that I didn't feel, everything that I deny that exists. on the way, I'm just getting tools and ways to try to learning to live with the injury. When COVID came, it took everything off me. It took my jobs, and I couldn't take care of anyone else. It was me with my problems. And it was really hard to understand what to do now. And it took me a while, but I can tell you that in the last year, it was a year of Shiri for the first time. It was the first time of taking care of myself and not of anyone else, and to understand what I'm going through. And now it's a new journey. And on this journey, as Sari said with the organization Tikvot, I'm 42, and I got back to skating. Like when I was 12, I was skating on rollerblades, and now I'm doing it again. And sport makes me alive when I don't think about nothing, and not even someone else, only about my next step. Doing ski, it's the quiet thing. The brain is going into quiet mode. When I'm skating, my brain is going to be 12 years old. So now it's a new era. It's a new era for me. And I'm saying that everyone that's been in something like that, it's like getting a new power. We're becoming, each one of us is getting his own great power to deal and cope and to tell the story to other people. That's more or less my story.
Shiri, I would love to ask you a few questions, but firstly, I want to just say, wow, you show such incredible strength. I mean, there's certain things that you said that are like reverberating in my head. You said, I never took a sick day. Or 2 weeks later, you were back in Mike's place. Like, no matter how much trauma and pain, you just showed an incredible ability to fight and stand up for what you'd been through. And I can't even tell you how much that touched me, because I know that so many people are victims of so many traumas in life, and they're not able to move on. And while you said 20 years later, you finally like dealing with Shiri, like to us, people listening, you showed incredible strength 2 weeks later. Like, to me, that's like really incredibly powerful. And
yeah.
I mean, I think the other thing that struck me was how visceral, how you shared what happened as though it was yesterday. And I mean, maybe you want to just talk to that. Like, do the memories ever get less? Does the pain ever get less? Or is it just the coping mechanisms get better?
Just the coping mechanism and the tools that I'm getting, like I'm getting tools. I know that it will never go away. The nightmares will never go away. The being nervous and always like being prepared to the next thing that's going to happen, it will never go away. 20 years. It's just learning to cope with it.
I want to just comment, Jody, that Sunday is going to be 20 years for Shiri. So it's not only Yom HaZikaron this week, but it's her 20-year anniversary, and it's huge. It's a huge anniversary. We both know.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and so many things you shared were so similar in the hospital when them just cutting your clothes. I remember thinking they're just cutting my clothes off. Like, wait a second. And it's funny, we laugh about it, but because it sounds crazy that this is what happened, that we really, sometimes you think it's surreal, but it really did happen. And like, the memories stay with you. You know, I thought it was very interesting how you said that they healed you physically, but they didn't heal your soul. And I think
That was
that's
the most
something
painful thing I think you said in the whole talk for me.
Yeah.
As much as I know you went through so much, was like that invisible feeling of like my body's functioning and now I'll just go on.
I think that I was rather to lose an arm than remember what I remember.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were close. You were right. I mean, you were next to the security guard, literally stopped the terrorist from
Yeah,
getting into Mike's place.
when he said "men not tonight," he spoke with the bomber. He told him "men not tonight." I bent over to grab the bag, and it all happened on the same time. He pushed him. I grabbed the bag. The explosion happened.
You're a walking miracle.
Crazy.
Shiri, do you have survivor's guilt? Do you have
Again, sorry.
survivor's guilt that you survived and your friends didn't?
If I feel
A lot of victims often feel that, like, why did they survive and someone else didn't? Was that part of your emotional stress?
at first, but I realized that there was nothing that I could do. At first, I thought that my bag was the trigger. I thought that when I took the bag, I triggered the bomb. That's what I thought, like for maybe 24 hours. So it took me a while to understand that it wasn't me, and there was nothing that I could do. I wish, but God plans, it's not mine.
And
Yeah.
Shiri, this Friday night, there's going to be a memorial service for
Yes.
Mike's place in Tel Aviv,
Mhm.
right? Are you going to be
Big
attending?
memorial, yeah. It's going to be Friday
Yeah.
noon. Mm-hmm.
Are you attending?
Of course, yes. And Jack from New York is coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's an amazing thing that you all get together each year for the anniversary, the Mike's place, the people that work there, to remember the 3 friends that were killed in the attack.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky that it happened with my friends, because I can go once a year and see them and speak, and to know that I was not with strangers. It was with my family. That's like the only thing that I can.
Do you want to say something about your friends that didn't survive? Because you knew the 3 people that were killed
Yeah.
in the attack. You knew them. They were part of Mike's place.
Mm-hmm. Yanai was one of the regulars that used to do the open mic night. He was in charge of it. He was a music teacher. Was such a nice man. And Dominique was a waitress that came from France. She there's a movie, it's a long story, the movie thing, but at the movie she's saying, I'm Jewish, but I'm not Zionic.
She's not Zionistic, she says,
Yeah.
in the documentary about it. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, but she was so Israeli, like
Yes.
really.
Yeah.
And that night she wasn't supposed to be there,
But she came in anyway.
Yep. And Ran, Yanai and Ran started to talk when I said, wait a minute, I'm going to grab my bag. And both of them died. Yeah. And Ran was my puppy love. I knew him when I was around 16. I'm usually saying that he had the M gene, the married gene. Everyone wanted to marry him because he was just amazing in every aspect. And when I saw him, I said, hi, yay, here's my husband. My boyfriend now, when I spoke with him about it, he was like, I don't like puppy love. And I told him, come on, he's not here. You don't need to be.
What are you doing for yourself this week? Are you doing anything special for yourself to take care of you while the upcoming anniversary?
this week, like these 2 weeks, from the Holocaust memorials till my memorial, the 30th of April, it's like the worst days that I can have. After this, I'm going to shut myself down and not to think about nothing till Friday, that I'll have to be in that again.
Well, Shiri, we so appreciate you taking time today to share with us and speaking especially in English. I know that's not easy, but for being here and for giving people an opportunity to hear your voice so they can understand better and to remember the victims from Mike's place. You are their voice
for
today.
giving me the place to share my story. It's been a while since I've done it, and thank you.
Well, love you, sweetheart, and you take care of yourself.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Shiri. We really appreciate you sharing your story, and we know it wasn't easy, but you helped raising awareness for all of us what it means. So thank you.
Thank you.